Today I've got a fairly big haul. I've got 10 DVD, 9 DVDs and one Blu-ray. All the DVDs are Doctor Who ones. This might be the last update until after Christmas, although we don't entirely know that yet. But we'll get started. So we'll start with the Soul Blu-ray, and the Blu-ray I've got kind of a story behind it, and it is Twin Peaks years ago whereof. So this is the movie, obviously, of the TV series. I'm currently getting through the TV show. I finished season 1. Absolutely brilliant. It's a great series, Twin Peaks. Anyway, this is the film which came out after the series ended. This Blu-ray is actually out of print, but somehow it ended up on HMV. Somehow, like once in a blue moon time, it turned up on there, and so I just bought it straight away. You know, before they had a chance to take it off, because normally this Blu-ray retails for around 15 quid used, but I ended up getting it for about 10 new, brand new and sealed. And this version does not have the missing pieces because this came out before the missing pieces. The missing pieces is where they took all the deleted footage and stuck them all together into sort of its own film. And this actually includes an epilepsy warning, which is always fantastic because it's actually quite rare to find like DVDs and Blu-rays that have epilepsy warnings, surprisingly. But yeah, I think I've heard this is actually quite a good film. You know, when people reappraise it, because when it first came out, critics hated it and fans of the series hated it. This originally came out on Blu-ray on its own. Then they brought out a box set which was called the Complete Mystery, which had the first 2 series plus Firewalk with Me and the missing pieces. And then they brought out the recent series a couple of years back. Then they took that out of print, and now they've got 2 box sets out. One is a slightly cheaper set, which is the TV collection, which is just the shows. You know, it's the original 2 series plus the revival, and it does not have Firewalk with Me or the missing pieces, which is stupid, arguably, because the movie's part of the series, you can't not have it. And they released another box set called the Twin Peaks ZA collection, which is a limited edition set. 120 quid for what is essentially just, I think you get like some new bonus features, 2 of the episodes in 4K, and just a ton of like cardboard shit in it. So I don't consider it that good a value for money. Anyway, here's the disc. I believe this is part of a David Lynch range, along with, they put out a couple of Blu-rays like this. Most of them are out of print now, like Eraserhead, Dune, Blue Velvet, and a few others. So we'll move on to the Doctor Who ones, and for the Doctor Who ones I've got a bit of a story behind. The first 2 are ones which I actually do, or which I already pre-owned, but I rebought them. For a reason which you may find a bit stupid and a bit, OCD of me to do, but, whatever, it's my money. And it is 2, I'll show them both at the same time. 2 John Pertwee stories, The Demons and Day of the Daleks. I did have these ones before. In fact, The Demons I think it was the first one I got. Well, I got it in a little gift set with a couple of other Third Doctor stories. What happened to him was, with my original copy, somehow, I don't know whether or not it was condensation or due to different lighting, due to different heating conditions, but somehow the covers got stuck to the cases, and it completely ruined them. It happened it ruined the reversible side, because if you don't know, with the Doctor Who range, they normally, if they have that BBC logo, they normally have reversible covers, so that way you can more easily fit them in. I don't actually generally use the reversible covers. This one in Day of the Daleks, the covers got stuck to the cases, so I couldn't use the reversible covers, and they were a bit, crumpled and stuff. And I did have a go ironing them, and my original copy of Day of the Daleks, it like bubbled up to the front, so so the cover was completely fucked. The discs inside were fine, and so were the cases. It was just the covers. So I gave them away I gave away my old copies because, it'd be a bit of a shame to chuck them away or anything, considering the discs are fine. But anyway, I'll show you these. I might as well. These aren't technically part of it, but here's the Demons, which is one I haven't seen in a while. This one was one I thought was a bit... I couldn't click with it the first time I saw it. I need to rewatch it. Of course, this one has, the Master attempting black magic. Now, my original copies have both had the traditional flipper thing, because they're both 2-disc sets. But this one actually has quite an unusual flipper, because this type of flipper is normally used for 3-disc sets, and that's where 3rd disc would normally go. But obviously they've covered over the clicky thing. Here's disc 2. In fact, when I first got this and I opened this, I thought I'd gotten a 3-disc set, but no, it's not a 3-disc set. And then Day of the Daleks, which I think is a story which I think a lot more fans have come to appreciate over the years, because I think when I first got into the fandom, people were saying that this story is rubbish and stuff. And I mean, technically, yes, it is complete rubbish, because, the Daleks in it, because this wasn't originally a Dalek story. It was, a story about Ogrons and stuff, but, to catch more of the attention of the viewers, because it being about 5 years since the last Dalek story, they wanted, to have a big season boost for season 9, so they just shoehorned in the Daleks. And you can kind of tell they didn't have the budget for it, because they literally only had 3 Daleks to work with. And the Dalek voices are a bit naff. I wouldn't say they're awful, they're just a bit... They just don't sound right, they're not... I don't think they hired those particular voice actors again, because they were... In the 60s, they hired more people like Peter Hawkins, and then obviously, after this, they were hiring people like Roy Skelton. Yeah, but I think this one is kind of one which fans have kind of come to appreciate, and I kind of agree, it's a story that kind of grows on you over time. This version has in it 2 versions. It has the original version, which was the version I've seen, because I always tend to watch... Usually, with some of the Doctor Who range, they let you have they give you the option to watch them with effects changes, which is really nice, because you do have to admit a lot of the special effects in Classic Who are absolutely shit. But normally I tend to watch the versions that were actually shown, and this one has in it a special edition, which the special edition, what they did was they got more Daleks in, they updated the special effects. They got Nick Briggs in to do the voices of the Daleks. And of course Nick Briggs is the current voice of the Daleks, or he was the voice of the Daleks in the revival era. Although, to be brutally honest, I'm kind of not used to, Nick Briggs' voice coming out of classic Daleks. I would have preferred, Roy Skelton, but just wondering, was Roy Skelton still alive when this came out? Let me see. 2011, so I don't know if he was still alive or not when this came out. Here's disc 1, here's disc 2. My original copy had a flipper. This one, just has them side to side. And also this one nicely has little things in it, because some of these, side to side ones. Some of them have little things, to hold the leaflet in, and some don't, for whatever reason. And I hate the ones which don't, because you have to be quite careful with the leaflet to make sure it doesn't fall out. I got those from HMV and A2 because with some of the Doctor Who range, they do a 2 for £10 deal. And I got 4 more which were in the deal. I got those 2 Doctor Who ones and Twin Peaks Firewalk with me on the same day, but it wasn't part of the same purchase. I purchased Firewalk with me and 2 other Doctor Who ones later on, so that way I'd get free delivery. But we'll start off with 2 Patrick Troughtons. First Patrick Troughton one is The Dominators, which is the first story of season 6. This one is, I think some fans consider this like their guilty pleasure story. It was poorly received at the time. In fact, this was one of the deciding factors on whether or not, to cancel Doctor Who back in 1969. And I believe this was, there were so many scripts like this that the production team were throwing out, because they thought they were absolutely crap. I mean, season 6 is fantastic. You got a lot of classic stories in there, like Mind Robber, The Invasion, The War Games, etc. Anyway, here's the disc. And then the final Patrick Troughton one is The Crotons, which again kind of has a similar reputation, although I'm not 100% sure about its reputation, considering I've not heard that many fans talk about it. It's one of those ones that people kind of forget about. I kind of merged the Dominators and the Crotons sort of together. This one was, interestingly enough, written by Robert Holmes. This was actually the first script he ever submitted for Doctor Who. This was the first story he wrote, and then the second story he wrote was the very poorly received missing story, The Space Pirates. I think he kind of definitely improved his writing by the time we got to the John Pertwee era. And of course he became script editor in Doctor Who's Golden Age. Here's the disc. And then we move on to a Peter Davison one, because I'm going to show you the other ones in just a sec, because I've got kind of a different story behind them. And that is Frontios, which is kind of one which I think, again, a lot of fans kind of forget about. This one, I've kind of heard, some reappraisal of this one, saying, it's a decent story, so I'll give it a go. I've not watched any of these Doctor Who stories, by the way, so I can't form an opinion yet. And look at how short that bonus features list is. Pathetic. Here's the disc. And then the last are Tom Baker's, because I decided, because I decided then, to order a few Tom Baker ones from Amazon a couple of days later to try and complete the Tom Baker set. I've nearly got all the Tom Baker stories. The only stories I've got left are Full Circle, State of Decay, and Warrior's Gate, which are from the E-Space trilogy, which I'm not getting until after Christmas. But anyway, I'll show you the Tom Bakers. Most of these came from Amazon except for one. I'll show you which one it is. So the first one is, and I've also completed the 70s as well, Image of the Fendal, which is kind of one which, once again, I think some fans kind of have nostalgia for this one. This one is kind of another one of the Gothic horror ones. You know, because I mean, obviously, like, it was defined by, you know, the Philip Hinchcliffe era, you know, the gothic horror episodes. There were a few gothic horror episodes in the Graham Williams era, but there were far less. Here's the disc. The Sunmakers, which again is kind of one which not many fans talk about. This one is, I know this is a story about taxation, and interestingly enough, this is Louise Jameson's favourite story. Louise Jameson, of course, who played Leela. Which I mean, it's not. Which I mean, you know, to an outsider, it would seem a bit of an odd choice, you know, because you'd go for obvious ones like Robots of Death, Talons of Weng-Chiang, Horror of Fang Rock. Yeah, this one I actually got from HMV because it was in the £2 for £10 deal. Here's the disc. Then we get to Creature from the Pit, a fairly infamous story, you know, because of that. Not that. And yes, there is quite an infamous scene where Tom Baker, you know, just Google it. But yeah. Nightmare of Eden, which is periodically the last 70s story I needed. And you can kind of tell, you know, just the fact that the cover artist, was it Lee Binding who did it? You can kind of tell that he couldn't give a crap anymore, and so you can actually see, you know, the actors' faces inside the costumes, which is slightly an odd. Which I think they've exaggerated it a bit on this cover, given I've not seen the story, of course, but I've seen, you know, like a few clips of it, and I've seen like screenshots from it, and you actually can't see the actors. There might be some scenes where you can see the actors in the costumes. But yeah, I think this one was a fairly late one to come out. This DVD came out in, sorry about that, 2012. So it's a fairly late one. I think this was during that period when you know, when they'd obviously put out like pretty much all the classic ones, you know, all the ones that fans would want, and then you just get to the rest, which is kind of like me at the moment, because I've got like 40 odd of the damn things left. So, you know, I've got all like the proper like classic ones, and then you get stuck with the rest. So then we move on to the 80s with the last two Tom Bakers I've got. First one is The Leisure Hive. Of course, this one is typically one which fans consider absolutely shit. I think this one, don't buy it until like you've nearly completed your collection. I've not seen it yet, so I can't judge. This one introduced quite a lot of things. It has it's the first one to have the John Nathan Turner as producer, who remained as producer throughout the whole of the 80s. This one also introduced the Starfield sequence, and they gave Tom Baker a new costume. In fact, actually, there's a really interesting special feature on here called Synthesizing Starfields, which is about the creation of not just the new theme tune, the new arrangement of the theme tune, but also the title sequence, which is actually if you are going to buy this DVD, you might as well buy it for that one special feature, because that's kind of a thing with Doctor Who DVDs. Even if the story's absolutely crap, there's usually something on the disc that you might appreciate. Anyway, here's the disc, and this one is quite an early one because this one came out in around 2004, so it has the bland Unix silver disc, which I think a lot of DVD manufacturers were using for many years in the early days, and then they obviously started printing artwork on them. That's actually the only one from pre-To Entertain I've got left, including ones which have had special edition releases, is Ghostlight. So I might get Ghostlight eventually. And then finally, Meglos, which is one which, again, fans consider absolutely shit. This one, interestingly enough, has Jacqueline Hill in it, who, of course, played Barbara, one of the original Doctor Who companions, of the original TARDIS team. She, from what I understand in this, she plays a completely different character. You kind of had that with Doctor Who, where you had some actors, who appeared a couple of times, usually playing different roles. Like, you had Nicholas Courtney, once he had, what's his face? I can't remember the actor's name. The guy who played Richard in Keeping Up Appearances, you had him appear a couple of times. You had Peter Capaldi a couple of times. You famously had Colin Baker, shooting Peter Davison. And here's the disc. Here's the leaflet. Anyway, that is it. That is everything. Until next time, goodbye.